back here on FTA Sport for another edition of Conmmentators Conflab. That's what I'm going with this week. And we've just come off the back of a repeat of last week, really, a 3-0 win for the Streatham Redhawks, a deserved 3-0 win against the Bristol Pitbulls. And Lewis, I think, we're commentators, but I think we're also fans, and just talking off camera, I think we both feel a little flat. And I feel for the Pitbulls players, a lot of hard work, a great effort again, but it seems not a lot changed from last weekend.
Yeah, like if we're just sort of looking at the first sort of 54, 55 minutes, we forget the incident with Jay Warren. It felt like it was not the same mistakes, but they didn't learn from what they needed to do last week to get a result. They didn't do it again this week. The shots that they took were from the outside. They're not getting bodies in front of the net. When they are, the shots aren't getting to the net. It's just same problems that they had last week, they had again this week.
Well, that's the thing, and bear with us if you're new to hockey, but talking about the dots, we're talking about the dots in the circles in the zone. And Jamie Elson, when he was in Cardiff, and I always used to ask him for sort of coaching strategies and things like that. He's a big believer in the dot lane and playing within the dot lane. So that's playing in the middle of the ice between the dots. And you have to say that the Pitbulls didn't really do that. We know the great release Taylor's got. We know the great release Ollie Schoen has got. But as you say, a lot of it was coming from the outside. A lot of it was coming from the spaces between the half wall and the top of the circles. And credit to Gregory, another shutout, but I'm not sure how hard he had to work for it.
No, it certainly didn't have to work hard enough for it. For the second week in a row, last week the second period was great. They troubled Gregory. Gregory wasn't really a match in the sense that the Pitbulls should have scored. There was no mistake about that. But this week, they played a good steady game for the majority of the three periods, but there was nothing to excite anyone. There was no moments where you're like, the Pitbulls are going to score here, or that momentum was really building for a long spell. They didn't get that tonight, and just sort of one step forward, two steps back almost.
You made a great point just as we were coming off air, because I was talking about Endicott and Kane Russell perhaps taken away from that cutting edge. You referenced Bailey Parry, and I think that's a great point, because I said in commentary at one point the defensemen were solid, but you kind of almost needed them to lead the transition and drive through the neutral zone. And maybe it's just Sam Smith who had that game about him and could do that. Bailey Parry was a big miss in terms of a puck carrier. There was premium amount of space in the neutral zone. Someone like Bailey Parry would have been a big help tonight.
Yeah, and you probably have him and Smith split. So you've got two pairs where there is that offensive-minded defenseman who can skate in the offensive zone. And yeah, I think it's just a big miss. Like Sam Smith, he's good, but obviously he can only play a certain amount of minutes. And one player, they've seen him for 60 minutes last weekend. They've seen him for 60 tonight. They know they're going to know what he's looking to do. And yeah, they miss Parry. And as you say, they're steady. They've not the mistakes weren't really there tonight that maybe were there last week. There was a couple of turnovers, but they're fine defensively. It's just creating against such a good team, such a strong defensive team in Streatham. Not enough there tonight.
Whilst we're talking Parrys, let's talk Tyler. Defeat again, 3 goals conceded again. It's not a fair reflection on his performance either last week or this week. Phenomenal, really. Sometimes ungainly. I said to you off camera, you said he can flap around a little bit. But I said, one of the best netminders ever in the world, Dominic Hasek, used to do that. As long as you keep the puck out of the net, that's the main thing. And there was that period at the end of the second period where he made a penalty shot save and then a worldly save, I think, off Painter. He's really given the Pitbulls a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the sort of last 90 seconds of that second period where the score's 1-0. You're on the power play, you're thinking you've got all the momentum, then you have the shot that's blocked, Antonov skates up the ice. I think it was Smith, wasn't it, that conceded the penalty shot. He has to do that. You're just giving yourself another chance to keep the puck out. And whether he made the save from the penalty shot, I'm not sure. I think maybe it just missed the net. But he made himself big. He didn't commit. He made Antonov take a low percentage shot that missed. And then the save on the breakaway was phenomenal. To come across your goal as the way he did, great work. And there was a couple of big saves in the third period as well, even at 1-0. So, yeah, phenomenal night for him. It feels harsh for him to have 2 weekends of work where he's 0-2. But I think his save percentage is going to have gone up tonight. So, yeah, good work from him.
The Pitbulls did generate, credit to them, power play tonight. They had power play opportunities, but it seemed to me they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do on the power play. Was it umbrella? Did they want shots on the blue line, and in which case it was hard to find shooting lanes? Did they want to go east-west, cross-seam passes? It was neither one thing nor the other, and the power play that's improved so much since Christmas, again, against a very good team, lest we say, but it wasn't a strong point for the Pitbulls tonight.
Yeah, it's the power play is really baffling, because at the start of the season, it was a team that was built late. They come together late. They've not had a lot of ice time here because obviously they played on the home rink for the first time in November, so they didn't have a lot of practice time. You can understand special teams maybe not being at the forefront of practice in the early days, but they picked up. The power play looked good for a short spell. I think they scored 3 in Chelmsford at the start of January, and you think maybe it's picking up again, but tonight they just didn't create anything. As you say, there were shots from the point. Sam Smith had quite a few shots that either didn't get through, or there wasn't a screen and it's an easy save for Gregory. It was just a bit tame, and it's chances where you get times like that, and you've got to create chances. You've got to test Gregory, and they just didn't do that tonight.
The feel-good story of the night is Sam Schoen taking minutes. I thought he looked pretty good out there. Of course, there's going to be ring rust on him, but when he got injured, there was talk of him being done for the season. He's back ahead of time. He's back. He can get his match fitness back, ready for playoffs. That's a plus point for the Pitbulls. Yeah,
absolutely. He didn't play a huge amount of minutes tonight. They had 8D, so there's going to be plenty of players out there that didn't play many minutes. Tom Stevens didn't seem to get a huge amount of ice time. But yeah, getting him back to fitness is all that matters. Like, as far as I was aware, he wasn't expected to play tonight. He was sort of being slowly bled back in. I think he's played more minutes than maybe I was expecting him to tonight. But that's only positive, because it means he's comfortable on the ice. It was a bit of an innocuous injury. It's just a check on the boards, and he's got an arm injury from that, or a shoulder injury from that. That play can happen 20 times a game, 30 times a game. It's good to have him back. Just sort of another steady defenseman. I'd like to see more of him in the offensive zone, see what he's about. But only positive news in that sense for the Pitbulls.
Whilst we're just talking about checks on the board, there was a Streatham player, I think it was number 8, Cook, who took a heavy hit tonight. I think he had to leave the game through injury. Obviously, everyone on FTA Sport, everyone associated with the Bristol Pitbulls wishes him well. I think it was a clean hit on first glance, but certainly we wish him well, obviously. Just kind of, finishing off our final thoughts, a Streatham representative was up on the gantry with us and very kindly said he thought that Bristol were the best of the rest, and they were, some distance behind Streatham, but the second best team in the league. Bristol now have got to emphasise that. They've got to amplify that, and it starts tomorrow. They're playing a team that they should beat, perhaps, or can beat. They have beaten. They're not going up against the league leaders. It's a different challenge. They go into a hard place tomorrow, the Riverside rink in Chelmsford, but that's a game the Pitbulls need to really take control of.
Yeah, there's no better place to start your sort of push for second place, should we say, in the division than going to Chelmsford and winning. I think of the games they've got left, if you exclude the trip to Streatham, this is probably the toughest one they've got. You look at the teams above them. They've played Solent at home twice. I think they'd fancy their chances in their own rink against Solent. They've got a trip to Slough, 2 very good hockey teams. I've enjoyed the games that I've seen between the 2 teams. I think they play both of those next weekend. But yeah, going to Chelmsford. You've got the 2 imports. You've got the Bartlett brothers, who are both very good hockey players, Ailing and a couple of others. They're a good hockey team. I think I said in my preview for the weekend that when Chelmsford beat Bristol 10-6 in Chelmsford, I thought that was their sort of statement game. That was them saying, we're here to maybe not chase down Streatham, but to put pressure on them to take second place and ease into second place. And they haven't done that. They've had a poor run of form. They've obviously they've released their head coach this week. They've responded with a 9-0 win in Solent. Maybe if they beat Solent 9-0 in their own rink, you'd sort of say, well, Solent might have had a little bit of an off night. Chelmsford played well. To win 9-0 in that rink is very impressive. That's a great result, and it's going to be a tough one for the Pitbulls tomorrow. But they are capable. Hopefully, we may see maybe Endicott on the ice, because there's no Swindon game. There's no Bison game, so potentially Kane Russell. But I'm aware he missed their game tonight, so I'm not sure what the reason for that was. But if they can get those 2 players back, they're a match for any team in this league, especially outside of Streatham. So there are positives to come if they can get that win tomorrow.
Just finally, on a lighter note, thank you for your feedback this week. We did kind of challenge you, ask you some great ideas that we want to take forward, if not this season, definitely next season. More player interviews, particularly after game player interviews, hockey rule sessions, different things like that. So we've taken all your feedback on board, and we'll be actioning those over the next few weeks and months. And also, Lewis has got a fan club. People come and see him on the gantry. No one comes to see me, so I think that speaks volumes. But yeah, Lewis, you're the darling of the commentary box.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Just got friends.
There we go. We'll remain friends. I'll remain lonely, but hopefully you guys are enjoying our coverage on FTA Sport. For another week, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.